Secular Rarity is asking, just got to ask, what are your thoughts on the ceasefire in Israel, Palestine, and the Biden administration's pressure? Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I honestly think like this is gonna keep happening, and I don't think like, and I think like Israel has already predicted that um, the PR battle in the United States is going slowly, very slowly going against it, and it will continue going against it, and it already has made plans very strategically in a way for it to become less reliant on United States, um, for whatever it does. Like it's really like I do think like United States is trying to keep focus taking its focus out of the Middle East, even though they keep being dragged back in, but they really are trying to get out of it. But Israel, with the Abrahamic Accord and everything else, is going to prepare itself for not needing the United States backing, right? Um, but that being said, a lot of here's an interesting thing as well, by the way. Now, for the first time, we're saying so many people in the United States, so many politicians in the United States, actively suggesting making aid to Israel conditional. These used to be political suicides, suggesting this in the United States, but now politicians are left-leaning politicians are saying it so openly in a way that it was unimaginable. Even though this is unimaginable, I don't think it will have that much of an effect on Israel's policies. And here's the thing: it could be argued, Ali. I wonder what you think about this. It could be argued that United States aid to Israel might actually have saved Palestinians more in a way, because think about it, like support, like with the aid of United States, Israel managed to build the Iron Dome, okay, and also, and without, if you look at like the number of Palestinians who Israel seems to be able to get away with killing internationally before people before they actually, every time they have a ceasefire, like if there is like a 10-to-1 ratio for every Israeli, how many civilians Israelis kill, if Israel didn't have a strong defense mechanism, then it would see its hand open. Like if you, instead of like 10 Israelis dying, if 100 of them died, it will see its hand open to go out and take out even more Palestinian civilians. You know what I mean? So the fact that so little Israelis die every time kind of limits how much of a free range Israel has to go in and attack Gaza in that one sense. Another take I've seen some people say is like, you again, I'm not saying that any of this is true. I'm just like telling you what I'm hearing based on some experts and some saying, like, United States support of Israel could also be seen as a bribe, because for Israel's government to hold back. Like if United States had no support for Israel, and Israel became more and more immune, like disinterested in United States support, and not see United States as less of a support, humanitarian considerations will become even less of an issue for their government, and that would put more Palestinians at risk. So that's another way to look at it, that I don't know if you agree with or not. I don't know if I agree with it or not. But what do you think?
I don't know about the whole thing about the Iron Dome and that keeps the casualties down. I don't think a 10-to-1 ratio of deaths and differences is much better.
I'm just saying hypothetically.
Yeah. So I think that's a very, to me, that's a very loose thing, and I know that you're not sure if you believe in it either. But yeah, I want to say like a couple of really quick things about this. Well, I guess I'm not going to say really quick, but they're going to be relatively quick. The Israel is a partisan issue in the U.S. now. It didn't used to be.
Wait, can I address something in live chat? Somebody doesn't understand what I'm saying. Somebody's saying if the United States didn't support Israel, Israel wouldn't exist. To your argument, so your argument is moot. God damn it! I'm talking about now. I'm talking about right now, the continuous support. I'm not talking about the foundations of Israel. God damn it. Anyways, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying that Israel is a partisan issue in the United States now. Okay. So it's the Democrats disproportionately, they vote for. The Democrats have an issue with Israel. They're the ones who called them out, and it didn't used to be that way. Everybody was Republicans, Democrats. Everybody had bipartisan support, and then Netanyahu, for some reason, decided to pitch to the Republicans and have that support to just one party. And that's an issue. And the problem is the party that he kowtowed to, which is the Republicans, are a solid minority in the United States. They're a solid minority. Why are they a solid minority? Everything that they need to get elected, Republicans, the Electoral College is a non-democratic system. The Senate is, we're 52% of the population represented by 18% of the senators. It's an anti-democratic system. The Supreme Court, 5 of 9 justices appointed by people who didn't win the popular vote, anti-democratic, gerrymandering, all these. I mean, these are the things that Republicans have to rely on to get elected. Nobody even looks at the popular vote or majority opinion anymore. And these are the people who still support them. So now, as evangelical support for Israel or evangelical population or evangelical influence wanes, that's the main support for Israel that Israel gets. And as more and more American Jews split off from Israel because they just don't see eye to eye anymore, the U.S. diaspora of Jewish people are actually a lot of them that they're just not into Netanyahu. They're not into what Israel is doing. There's a growing difference between the two. The Biden administration just doesn't have, or the U.S. in general, will not have the kind of strategic interest or the motivation to provide aid to Israel as they did before, right? So that's what I think about Biden administration pressure. As far as the ceasefire goes, ceasefire is a good thing, but it's not going to last. The same thing. It's going to happen 5 years from now, and 5 years after that. This has been going on for 73 years. It's going to continue to happen. It's not going to end. So
Israel is going to be completely capable of making its own weapons,
right?
Very advanced weapons. It's a very entrepreneurial country, very high tech. It might, without U.S. aid, Israel's policies are not going to change.
The policies aren't going to change, but it is going to become, as far as PR and allies and everything goes, it is headed towards like being a pariah. It already is kind of.
It's going to make it. It's going to embolden it even more. It is that I agree with you, but it's not going to affect their behavior in a way to become more concerned with humanitarian issues. It's going to make them less concerned.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the leadership. Like right now, what happened
they have been rewarded, like with all the more they have been rewarded for taking a harsher. Both Hamas and Likud have, every time they taken a harsher stance against their opposition, their electorates, yes, they have been rewarding them. So they are responding more to internal, the people within Palestine and Israel more than outside, and that is.
I don't fully agree with that. I think what was happening right now is Netanyahu was basically, his leadership was being threatened. There was an election that was about to happen where there was going to be a liberal party, a secular party that was going to join forces with the first proper Arab Islamic party, Islamist, political Islam party. There was going to be a coalition there, and that's when all of this stuff broke out. So I think that
Ali, you're missing your timelines. Even before all of this stuff happened, that broke apart. Broke apart. Why? Because all the right-wing leaning parties in Israel signaled to Netanyahu that this would, if you hold on, let me finish. If you deal with these, if you bring these Arabs and make a coalition with them, that will be the end of you. That's why I'm saying that it's not external forces that drives Likud. It's internal forces that is driving Likud, right?
Yeah.
So the mere attempt of Netanyahu to make a coalition with some of the Arabs was completely crushed by the right-leaning, even more right-leaning parties than him, right? So then Likud. So that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, international pressure is going to embolden the Israeli population even more, that the world is against us, so we need to take care of this ourselves. So
hey guys, if you want to join these streams live, get your comments and questions read by Ali and Armin and the guests, and most importantly, to get full access to the full video versions of all these episodes, become a patron. Link in the description below.